Can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
Yo, we back with another Poetry as Usual podcast. We got your favorite poets, the dope poets. I am your humble host, Imani. Who we got in the building today?
Brittany Barker, representing Harlem.
Jerome Heka, Big Queens.
Yeah.
Lady K, Westchester.
Westchester.
Storyteller Gordon, dopest in Brooklyn. So I got fed.
Hey, we outside. And we got Quincy in the building. Yeah. Big Harlem,
What up, baby?
Culture.
And we got King Caballero on the way. Y'all, this is our second to last-ish episode of season 1. How y'all feeling?
Penultimate.
Come on, vocabulary.
We got scholars here. How y'all feeling about rounding off a season? We made a whole
Feel
season.
Good. I didn't see where it was going the first episode. I didn't see what the end of the season would look like. But now that we got here, I'm like, we did a good job.
Yeah, I agree. It's a testament to trusting the vision. And at first, when it was mentioned, I was like, a podcast? What's going to happen here? So to see how it has unraveled is really nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tap into my Gordo. Man, I knew it'd be great.
Ooh.
I knew we all individually fire, so when we come together, we're gonna do some fire stuff.
Come on.
I ain't surprised.
That's that Black Hoodie
You heard?
energy.
Nah, I'm playing. I am surprised. I think to see where we came from episode 1 to now, see the love that everyone has poured into us and the support, I would be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. So it's been a nice ride, and can't wait for season 2.
Yeah.
Bigger and better things. You heard?
Yeah, it's been a good journey. Yeah, man, it's been a good journey.
And people are actually engaging on YouTube. You know, people moved away from comments on YouTube for a short while.
Yeah.
So conversation is booming on the
Yeah.
social media
Right.
platforms.
Yeah, I think it's accomplishing a goal. I think, we were having these conversations without the camera.
Yeah.
And now to be able to do that and start that conversation, I run into a lot of people and they enjoy the discourse.
Right.
And the fact that we agree, disagree, whatever, and we do it with respect, I hope that sets the tone that we don't all have to agree on the way things should be done, but we can always do this respectfully.
Right. And I like how all of us here also carry the conversation onto the comments and give the people who don't have a chance to be on the podcast or even be in New York to really engage in dialogue with us, not just comment, but really get to be in that conversation with us, and we actually engage back and forth. So it really feels like it's connecting us to people and poets across the globe, and I think it's fire.
Talking about it in Florida was a dope experience too.
Right.
It was like poets from Baltimore seeing them at Soul Fried in Florida and being like, yo, what you said in New York was, I'm like, yo, that's fire.
It's very fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, so second to last, but far from our last episode. We got
Right.
a lot more things to say, a lot more things to talk about, a lot more things to announce. But y'all know how we start. Poetry highlight since the last link up. I'm going to go first, so mine's not taken. I'm sorry. My poetry highlight, shout out to Modern Poets, is a Poetry in the Park. Y'all, It was fire. It was fire. It was fire. For those that don't know, we linked up and put out a flyer and said, hey, you want to come spit some poetry, get it recorded, be in a cipher with us, pull up to Washington Square Park. And 40 plus poets came through.
Yeah.
And that's poet from New York City. We had a poet come down from Buffalo. We had Philly in the building. It really, I keep talking to people right now that we're experiencing a unique poetry summer right now. And even that phrase poetry summer is not giving it its credit.
Yeah.
In terms of how potent poetry is right now. But I think that scene is emblematic of how fire poetry is. People just coming up. Everyone got a chance to spit. And the recap video was fire. I can't wait to see the footage. But that was my highlight.
Yeah. For me, shameless plug for Creative Soul House. We got a residency program brewing. And
Hey, congrats on that. Big
Thank
things.
you.
Big things are going.
interviews have kicked off, and it's just very exciting to see the interest, but also to consider what New York will look like for more longer standing programs. We usually invite people to open mics, and it's like one-off events, but what does it mean to spend time with a poet across several months? So I'm excited about that. That's my highlight.
That's ill.
Hey.
I'm gonna go Poetry in the Park too. That shit was electric, man. The city is electric right now.
Yeah.
And especially with us, linking with the Modern Poets, it's like two families coming together, us being one and whatnot, and the collaboration that's going on in the city, I'm really loving.
Yeah.
Word.
Yes, mine will be the Secret Garden sessions. That was with
That was fire too.
Yes, Amanda Shea and Alicia Marie. And they didn't know each other, but they were so connected. By the end of the night, it just seemed like they were besties, literally. So it was amazing. It was very nice.
Big shout out to Amanda Shea. Mine is the same as y'all, man. Poetry in the Park. That was it. And I want to just highlight the fact that like it happened on the day of the Pride Parade, which at first I was like, yo, I don't know. I was coming out that train station. It was all the anxiety. There was so much people, but it really did set the tone for what the poetry community can look like. It set a good backdrop. Also, so much people were outside. I think it made everybody feel like truly comfortable to be themselves in that spirit. So shout out to Jamal for really standing there in that camera and all the poets who pulled up. And the next thing is I'm getting hella booked, yo. So shout out to the bookings pulling up, coming through. You know, I'll do that at the end of the show. But yeah, shout out to the bookings, man.
Fire. So for this episode, I want to shout out Brittany Barker. She's our resident scholar in the building. She helped plan this episode. But here's what I want to say. I feel like, I know King Kamiyera has said this. I know I've said it. I know many of us have said it, that it feels like we are in a new renaissance of poetry. And we base that off of how vibrant the scene is, how popular the scene is, just how potent poetry seems to be right now.
Right.
I was sitting thinking to myself, and Brittany was too, and it was like, do we know what it means when we classify something as like the new renaissance? Do we know what the renaissance really was during that time? What it did for those people? So the question that came to mind is like, what era of poetry are we actually in now? Like hundreds of years from now, when they talk about New York City in the 2020s, you know, what will it be defined as? How will it be defined? What are our collective values? What is the poetry doing for our collective psyche right now? What movements are we fighting? What harms are we combating? And I'm curious to see how it's going to be packaged and defined 100 years from now. And I also wonder if, like, during the 1920s, like, did they know it was a Renaissance during the time? Like, did they identify it as, Harlem Renaissance?
They said it was special.
Yeah.
Special.
I read a book called Harlem Rhapsody. It's called Harlem Rhapsody, and it's about Jessie Fawcett. She was the editor of the Brownies magazine and W. Du Bois magazine, and like from 1917 up to like 1927. And so she was the first one to publish people like she was first one published Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and a host of other folks. And she was editing all of them, and like they had like an award ceremony, kind of like how VIP had like 2-3 years ago. And they were like, yeah, something's vibrant in the city right now. And so I feel the same thing going on with us.
Yeah. I think they had to have known something or felt something, because the Renaissance took place between the 1910s and the 1940s. This is during Jim Crow, and a lot of people are leaving the South because they hear something is popping off in the North.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe they didn't have the language Renaissance, but they knew there was something brewing there.
Yeah. It wasn't the label, but the work was happening, and the energy was felt. And I think that's what's happening with us. I don't know if it's going to be like a post-COVID thing or how they will choose to define like the period. But and it's happening nationwide, by the way. Like what we got going on in New York is one energy, but we see it in Philadelphia. We're seeing it in Detroit, and we're seeing it at Soul Fried. We're seeing it in Baltimore, in Houston. So like we know that there's a special energy around this thing of ours right now. I just kind of feel like it's important that the poets write with the intention of being remembered.
That's good. Yeah, no, I also feel like they were being defiant in that time too. They were speaking on our experience that other people would not speak on, and they were speaking on things that they probably should not have been. So for them to consider that might cost them, I think they knew they were on to something that was going to lead to something else, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
When I look at pictures, the vibrancy, the energy, the aura of it all, it seemed like it was something very powerful. I do wonder if Renaissance is the best language we could use to describe what's happening now. Because I don't know about y'all, but for me, I'm like, of course I'm going to use the language that has already been put out there for me, but we are writing in a different time.
Right.
You mentioned COVID. It's 2026. We are not off the heels of Jim Crow, but we are off the heels of like Black Lives Matter. We had the pandemic. We saw
Jim Crow, mass incarceration.
The new Jim Crow.
Right.
And then we've also lived through seeing all of those movements been systemically squashed. The Black Panthers, some of them are still in prison.
Jail, yes.
So are we writing from the same place as the people who coined the Renaissance in Harlem, or are we writing from a different place? And if so, what name should we call this era?
How would we define the Renaissance?
I mean, Renaissance is just what Renaissance means. It's like that artistic change and
Artistic explosion of sorts, transformation.
Yeah.
But during a particular time, like, you have to remember what was happening in the 1920s. Like, and then I really wonder what
The Klan
it was like.
happy.
Yeah, what it was like for people in the South that was hearing about what's happening in the North but couldn't make it to the North.
Right.
Like, what was there?
And how were they even hearing about it, right? Like,
Exactly.
now the world is a lot more smaller. So, like, they might think that Renaissance was localized to Harlem, but was it? Or is that just how history remembers it, right?
Yeah.
We don't know.
The trains going all throughout the city.
Yeah.
Or
How many people moved up to Harlem to get a piece of that or figure out what was going on? Probably why Harlem looks like Harlem today, right?
Right.
Now it's a global thing. We're able to connect. The world has gotten bigger, so the Renaissance wouldn't be localized to any individual place. So it'll be interesting how history chooses to remember that. But it's almost like 100 years, right? And
Yeah.
if things
It is 100 years.
happen in cycles, then it is a Renaissance. I don't know what they'll choose to call this time, but
Yeah. So I was doing a little homework assignment for this, and I was chopping up with my friend. His name's first name Chat, last name GPT, and we was talking about the eras. We was talking about the eras of different poetry and things like that. And I tried to brainstorm what we could label this era. I came up with a word. Well, we came up with a word, me and Chat, and I think it's pretty good. So we came up with the Convergence Era. And it's
Convergence.
the convergence of all types of like literary expression, from slam to the publishing world to spoken to open mic scene, to all the platforms now emerging.
Yeah.
So everything is converging to the media and social media exploding.
Yeah.
So convergence was a term that was suggested to like encompass the industry just changing so much and how that has like permeated the poetry culture. I know it's not really like activist leaning, maybe black convergence, throw the word black in front of it. But the convergence era is a word that I came up with.
Okay.
I like that because there's a blend of different art forms in the poetry as well. You got like folks who are musicians, you got folks who are comedians, you got folks like, rap was born 50 years later from the Harlem Renaissance.
Yeah.
So like that has influenced like a lot of writing as well. So I think that's a good idea. Word.
Yeah, and I think also with it being more of a digital age as well, I think there is still an emphasis on actual physical art as well. So I feel like we're in a good balance between the two where people still do want actual material books and digital is gonna be there. We're moving into
Give
it.
me the books. Word.
Yeah. But yeah.
Ooh. I was thinking earlier, I feel like we're in the shadow of something, still trying to shake it off. So I would name it, if I was a historian, I would just call it the shadow era because, like I said, I personally, when I'm writing, I'm thinking about, I believe in the power of my poems, but also I've seen these people be taken out. Like poets are being slaughtered in Palestine and all of those things. So I wonder, like I have some fears in the back of my mind about what it would mean if our nation continues to move into this direction of censoring us and calling people out and they be doing their thing. Not a conspiracy, but I'm in the shadow of right in the shadow of what happened to the poets and the activists. And when we thought that Black militancy and the revolution had reached this pinnacle, we saw what happened. So my work sometimes is still dealing and grappling with that. And then also what the pandemic did to me psychologically. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
That I do like convergence, not only because what Heka said, but also all of those art forms is coming back to poetry. You're seeing comedians coming back to poetry. You're seeing singers come back to poetry, and even who is being represented in here, all different cultures, all different places, and the convergence of what is the shadow and Afrofuturism coming together, converging somewhere in the middle. Like we're aware of it all.
Right. And this is probably the best time for us to be activists leaning and speaking out and stuff like that. Like I ain't gonna say nothing bad can happen. The thing that happened in Palestine can't happen here.
Mhm.
But you know what I'm saying? As far as like just the history of this country, you know what I mean? We have more of a voice than we ever had.
Yeah.
You know?
You still think that?
I think so. I can pull up my phone right now and a million people can see what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
true.
Access.
I do have a question about this like activist lens of writing. So just to center the conversation, you know, we talked about the Renaissance era, but there are also other eras that are also named.
Mhm.
There's the Black Arts Movement.
Black Arts Movement.
Right.
Yeah.
That was in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement. There's the Last Poets, that era in like the 1970s. And maybe like hindsight's 2020, but like every movement was like clearly defined by the oppressive nature of the time. So we have the Jim Crow, we got the Civil Rights Movement, we got
With Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives
more
Matter,
recently.
you know, we
Yeah.
got the crack epidemic, everything that was like defined in the 80s, 90s era. So here's my question to y'all, and I've had this debate countless times. By virtue of being a poet and by virtue of having influence, do you have an obligation to be an activist in your writing? Do you have an obligation to talk about the issues plaguing society, or can you just write about beautiful things? Can I just write about love and be fine on mission as an artist? Can I just write about light? I love how this.
Mhm.
Can you just be a beautiful writer
Yeah.
without the responsibility? So the debate I've had was not really within the context of poetry. It was more so in the context of like athletes
Yeah.
and musicians. And like the argument I used to have is if you have a certain amount of influence, popularity, then you have an obligation to speak against wrongs. It don't matter if that's your career or not. I don't know if I believe that or not. Like, you know, Michael Jordan wasn't really out here campaigning against social wrong, but you know, LeBron is.
Right.
You know, not every rapper is out here on the front lines of marching for the people, but some are. So what are your thoughts? I guess it's a twofold question. Do artists have an obligation to talk about social harms? And number two, does it change if they reach a certain level of influence?
I don't think there's an obligation. I think there's a because it can be contrived, like depending on who says it. You know, what I mean, you got folks who know what they're talking about. They know the details of the movement or even the oppression or whatever it may be, and then you got folks who's like just talking out their ass. You know what I'm saying? It's like, tell so and so to shut up, get off Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Or
Oof. I feel like when you have a certain amount of access and you got all those minds, I think at least you should handle it responsibly.
Mhm.
That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah, I think that's better said.
That's the first thing
Yeah.
that comes to
Yeah.
mind.
No, I certainly don't think that there's an obligation. I think your obligation is to document your history.
Mhm.
Now, if it's a part of that history, if my art is a time capsule of my emotions, I should represent that as accurately as possible.
Mhm.
It's hard to do that without looking at the landscape of what is behind me, what is actually happening in the world that may be affecting me emotionally, right?
Yeah.
Additionally, I think it's a trap if artists feel an obligation, because I might do one piece. Now they want all the pieces all the time. And if I'm not moved by that individual cause and I'm silenced, they will say that I'm not doing my duty as an artist. It's almost a trap to ever get involved with the obligation to that, because now I'm supposed to protest everything all the time, every shooting all the time, all the things. And it's not like the injustices don't recycle. It's cyclic. How many of these pieces you want me to write?
And those are the limits they put on us, and that's why a lot of poets of color be burnt out. I don't be hearing about I mean, I can't speak on behalf of the white poets, but I don't be hearing a lot of conversations about being burnt out. I think that white poets and white authors in the history have always had the freedom to write about whatever they wanted, the
Right.
full spectrum of their experience. And with us, we've had that obligation put on us. So I agree. I'm a little on the fence about it, but I do think when you have a lot of minds and there are minds at your fingertips and there are things that's happening, I think you can say something. And the last thing I'll mention is like, you can choose what it is. You don't got to speak on everything.
That's
Right.
it.
So,
That's it.
for example, I had just gotten a little few more followers, and I was posting a lot about Palestine, and somebody DM'd me and they were like, well, you have a good amount of followers. I feel like, why are you not speaking about what's happening in the Congo? And I was like, respectfully, I do know what's going on in the Congo. However, right now I'm choosing to speak about Palestine.
Right.
Or how about you speak about the Congo or someone else? So
Right.
I think it's like they want you to speak about everything also, and I don't know if that's necessarily fair.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that because, yeah, you can't speak on everything and you shouldn't have to. But I do feel like as an artist, it is your obligation to speak on the things that other people may not have to. You have to speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. That is my favorite Bible verse. And so, yeah, I think it is our obligation, especially when you have access and influence. And no, it doesn't have to be everything, but you have to stand for something. And if you stand for something, you should be able to speak on that. That's just how I feel when it comes to that, especially access and influence as artists. That's our job, unfortunately.
It is appreciated when those do it. Like the Black Lives Matter era is like, All Right was the song of the movement. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he knew that it would stand the test of time and be in history books when he wrote it, but that's what happens when I feel like it's not contrived. You know, when he said what was on his heart versus he said it because people thinks he should.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the other part that's difficult when it comes to that is, what if your opinion is not that of the masses? I don't agree with how y'all looking at this situation, and now what? Because I don't agree with y'all, I'm automatically canceled for the opinion that I took that actually resonated with me.
Right.
That's a tough one too. So when artists choose to stay away from something, it might be a reason why they're staying away from it too, right? Injustice anywhere is injustice, right? But at the same time, people can look at it as, if I'm picking and choosing, then are you picking and choosing? If I only want to talk about what's going on in Haiti, am I wrong for that?
I would say, though, to go back to the conversation about just what era are we writing in? We also have, we're canceled much more quickly. I know that people stood on business earlier and there were wars and disagreements and things of that nature. But at this moment, I think some of the writers, this era of poets, are living in the fear of being canceled. You can't say one thing. You got to be perfect on social media. So people are choosing their personal brands and keeping the masses with them. If keeping them docile, you rather keep them docile than say something flagrant that might make people move from you. Yeah, we want to herd people, but we don't want to actively shepherd them or steward that thing in a way that we should.
Are you really an artist if you move in fear of cancellation?
A lot of artists are moving in that
right.
fear,
So
though.
are you really an artist? Because at the end of the day, the cancellation, that's cancellation of business. That's not cancellation of you as a human being.
But there's cancellation from families. You know, some artists do. I think naturally we do have fears. And I would say, yes, some people who talk about their sexuality and parts of their identity, they write in the fear sometimes of being canceled by their family.
But that part has always existed.
But Gordon, you also just mentioned it, though, about how you wouldn't share an opinion that you feel wouldn't be of the masses just because people might not agree. You might.
I might not do that. I might not do
Oh, well, to those artists, though, they're doing that out of fear.
Right.
If they really wanted to stand on what they believe, they would stand on it, regardless if it was the masses or not.
But that's what I'm saying. I question my own artistic integrity when I do that. You know, I'm asking for y'all to see if y'all feel that same way. I don't. I want to say what I want to say, but I'm like, if I say that, what happens to the numbers? What happens to the now? Is like, is it still art if nobody's looking?
You know, I think that's interesting because at the same time, there's people who want to say what you might say. You know, you could be speaking to somebody who else is too scared. You know, and you can inspire somebody else to give their own point of view on the same thing that you were scared to say when you know, develop the courage to say it type shit.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think I'm really conflicted. I don't have an answer to this question in terms of do we have an obligation or not. Because like I'm hearing y'all say, some of y'all say that maybe we don't. And I just wonder if
we on the fence.
I wonder how the poets that we are from these eras would answer that question. And I think they would absolutely say, yes, we have an obligation to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amiri Rocker would never.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's nation time.
The second thought I'm having is that to me it also depends on like what you do for the community aside from your art. So for me, I'm someone who like I view myself as a public defender. I view myself as doing one of the fights on the ground. So I think I have earned the right to, if I want to write, I don't need to now also
Right.
write about my activism as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if being an artist is all you do,
Yeah.
then I think that you have an obligation to speak at least to the issues that's impacting your people.
Right.
Whether that's Black people, women, queer, whatever you identify as. It doesn't have to be the sole substance of your work. But if you write a book,
Agree.
you better got some things talking about.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. What you doing when the poem stops?
You know?
Yeah.
When the poem is over, if you actually get into
stage.
work, then
Yep.
I don't care if you wrote about it or not.
Facts.
Yeah.
To be honest, but if you just writing and you're not doing anything, then you should at least be writing.
At least.
Yeah. I think our answers may reflect the burnout that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Because Langston Hughes would never, you know.
Right.
He,
You got things
the
to do.
Nero Speaks of Rivers was published like right after the Tulsa bombing in 1921. Where
Yeah.
Lainey, but she mentions this a lot outside of the slams. It's like, what are we doing beyond the slams? Like, I know that poem was fire and you got a 10 and you talked about trauma and all of those things, but like, is the poetry living outside of the slam space or whatever, the stage?
Yeah. So we've mentioned some of the names, Amiri. We've mentioned the movements as well. Are there any particular poets from those movements that y'all are like particular fans of, or any particular movements that, I don't know, just stand out to y'all that y'all care to speak on?
of course, Langston, Carl McCain. I just heard Why Is the Moon by Gil Scott.
Yeah.
Of course, Gil Scott.
Gil Scott, to me, that's one of them ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's I don't think I've researched enough of the poets. I felt very connected to the prose writers and the activists that were speaking, like Kathleen Cleaver, all of them. The way that Angela Davis, the way that they would talk to the media,
Yes.
even the way that, they are poets. The way that they
Yes.
spoke
Word.
was very poetic.
Definitely.
The way that they held their own, the way that they were so equipped to talk about their thoughts and be so honest and raw and forward facing about what was happening and looking people in their face and saying, like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I admire that. And I think that speaks to what the poets want to do.
That man Fred Hampton said, I live for the people because I would die for the people. I die for the people because I love the people. That man's a poet, bro.
Yes.
And he wasn't thinking about no poetic devices, literary devices. He just was speaking from the heart.
He wasn't thinking about losing followers either.
You know?
I mean,
He wasn't.
it was definitely a different level of fearlessness.
Yeah.
And we've
Yeah.
gotten so comfortable with these trinkets that they dangle in front of us that
Oof.
we're just not as fearless anymore. We feel like we have a lot to lose all the time. We got that validation that we're looking for sometimes. And I mean, I think we're all guilty of it. Just because that's the conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the writers that spoke to me most during I would say the Black Arts movement, or even like during the era of the last poets, was Sam Greenlee. He wrote a book called The Spook That Sat by the Door.
Yes.
That's my favorite book of all time. And for those who haven't read it, is so guy from the hood, from like somewhere in Detroit. He due to affirmative action, he got a job at the CIA and stuff like that. He learned all the guerrilla warfare and shit like that. Took it back to the hood so he could train the youth, and then they did uprisings like throughout the whole nation type shit.
Yeah.
And so the imaginative aspect of it was really dope to see to me. Word.
Strategy.
Word.
I think I have some advice for us poets who might be grappling with fears or what could happen if we do get too rah-rah. And it is strategy. Like, there are different ways. People have always coded things in the history of Black tradition. They with cornrows and braids and putting rice in the hair and things like that. We've always had code language. What's dangerous about now is like
There's no code.
there's no code, and or if there is code, it doesn't stay underground. Like, everything is on the internet.
Yeah.
Our ops got access to the codes.
Slang isn't even a thing anymore. Slang isn't even localized. I miss being able to speak and they would know what neighborhood I'm from. Now people speak and we can't. I don't know. We all speak the same.
Literally.
Right.
Yeah,
You
Brooklyn
know,
saying twin.
I mean, they're gonna call it 12 too. Like, it's just like by the time the slang hits the internet, it's over for the whole slang. They got Urban Dictionary and they're using that. Like, I remember at one point, they was folding in the Zos, the Haitians were folding in Creole into slang. And then enough of them get locked up, and the cops know what you're talking about too, and that's it. It doesn't even matter. And you see somebody who don't know the origin of the slang, and they'll say it too. It's crazy.
Y'all, we gotta bring our stuff underground again.
I really want to go back to speaking Creole for real, just so they know I'm not from here for real.
They gentrify the buildings and the language and the culture. We gotta figure out a way to preserve that.
Yeah, I remember that it was like somewhere in February. I think it was like last 4 days of February, and Black Instagram, Black Twitter was like, "Yo, one more thing would make this month so special," and all the comments was like, "I know what you're talking about," and you know, I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about.
I don't know. Yeah, but you don't say it. Don't. You can't say it. We gotta keep that around.
All right, so I want to pivot a little bit, but still stay in the conversation of eras and how eras are defined. And I want to move to modern day.
Okay.
And I want to ask y'all this question. Do you think that within the US that the different regions of poetry in the US are like defined differently or represent different things? Like, do you think that the East Coast has a different identity than the South, or that New York and Philly have a different identity in poetry than Baltimore, than the West Coast? What y'all think?
For sure.
And what do you think those identities or characteristics of those cultures are?
I was talking to Brianna. She said how poets in New York, we learn to write from rappers. Meanwhile, poets in LA learn to write from actors, so to speak, or like playwrights. And I had a conversation with Kenneth, and he was like how Charm City, they were slamming and they didn't do well one year. And he's like, came back home and they realized like, yo, we're so much different than them. We're brash about our blackness because that's a black ass city. You know, he's like the cops are black, the doctors are black and stuff like that. And I could see how that environment informed their writing versus someone who's in a predominantly white town. You know?
Right.
And you could feel it a lot at slams. I think thinking about Soul Fried and how each city brought something different, and each of them had their own kind of power, even though it was different. I thought that definitely showed us that each place has different identities.
OD and different things that we value in writing.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yo, New York got bars, but I'm a New Yorker. I'm like, I like what he said, but yeah.
That's interesting because I don't know. I always look at similarities more than differences. I think the world is polarizing enough. I'm never trying to look at more ways to be different from anybody. I'm looking for how are we similar. So I think good writing is good writing. Is it different than the good writing that I do? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But I like it. What's dope to me is dope to me. I don't care where it's from. I don't care what language, what slang, what kind of. I think that's dope. I really fall in love with a lot of poets' styles that are not from New York. It feels like when I discovered a Dirty South rapper that I was like, yo, who is this? And like the way he's bouncing on this is different. Yeah. But it took me a minute. Hey, yo!
I'm sorry.
Yo, oh my God.
I cannot let that was like.
Big pause. Yo, pause. But like I remember when I remember getting introduced to like 3-6 Mafia, and initially I couldn't rock with it, but eventually I was like, nah, the way
it grew on me.
Yeah.
The flow.
Yeah. And they don't do this where I'm from, and I can learn to appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask the question this way. Sorry, you want to say something? No? All right, if the poetry regions, I'll put it this way: we'll do Midwest, we'll do South, we'll do
West Coast.
East Coast, West Coast. I'm gonna separate the East Coast into like Baltimore, Boston, and then New York and Philly. If we all were a tool in the toolbox, what would each region be?
Damn.
New York is a hammer.
Say again?
It. New York is a
I was
hammer.
gonna say Baltimore might be the hammer.
Oh shoot!
I mean, we all may have a different reasonings for associating.
That's
what y'all
fair.
think?
We might be a wrench.
Yeah, or like some tweets. I don't know, like some pliers
some
or something.
fine shit, like
Screwdriver.
There we go.
Yes.
All right, say more. Like why? What about the screwdriver
I would
is an
say
attribute of New York?
The attention to detail. I could quote like different rappers, like let's say like Nas, right? He said I had a prepubescent lyric gift. That's an ill way to say I was nice. You know what I'm saying?
From young.
Yeah. I was nice from young. And it's like us being here, we're like we may not like be consciously inspired by the things that we've heard and shit like that.
Yeah.
But it's still in our psyche.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just one artist from the city.
Yeah.
Imagine of all the other ones we heard.
Wrench. Can we agree that Baltimore would be like the hammer?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
They got a little hammer in them.
They're
Brash.
yeah, they're brash, they're unapologetic, they're big on stage. Like you
agree.
can't miss them.
Knocking shit down.
Yeah.
You can't ignore them.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'll
The
give
hammer
that.
is the heaviest tool, it's usually the biggest tool in the toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Baltimore, as of right now, has, when I say earned, I'm making it seem like I'm making it a hierarchy. But
Yeah,
I think
I don't know
they
what
have
you doing
earned the
right now,
they've earned the
man.
label of a hammer.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think
I don't know if the hammer is a superior tool
I
though in
didn't
the
say
box,
that.
but
I didn't say it. I just think
Yeah.
they earned
Too
earned
much
the
people
hammer.
box eating.
They
Wow.
earned the hammer analogy.
yeah,
I don't think the hammer is a superior tool.
I agree with that. And I think like, we all are grappling with similar emotions, but just go about it in a different way.
Yeah.
We might use a
Yeah.
different tool.
Right.
A wrench can dismantle something, a hammer can dismantle something, right?
Mm.
And yeah, what I've seen from Baltimore, DMV area, I think that we operate from different emotions too. I think that they tap into their rage a lot, which is powerful.
Definitely.
Rage has caused many movements and policies to have change to come about.
Right.
I think that that's one way to go about it. I think that another way to go about it is, thinking about the language. I think New York is thinking of strategizing around how the word hits, and in some rooms that might shift. When we saw LA at Soul Fried,
Yeah.
LA was talking about some social topics like dating and the dangers, the violence of video games.
Very creative ways.
And they were so creative.
Yeah.
They weren't ruled by rage. They weren't thinking about strategy in the way that the East Coast thinks about it, but it was also still
So what tool would they
strategic.
be?
I'll say they're like a string or a rope. 'Cause,
Oh,
like, it's used for so many different purposes. You could use a string to tie something. You could use a string to combine things together.
Right.
They're the string or the rope.
Mm.
and they're flexible.
And they're flexible.
It felt like watching a sitcom almost.
Yeah.
Watching them perform.
Yeah.
And hearing the way they wrote things.
What about the South?
I want to say measuring tape, but I can't think of a reason why.
Analogy.
Dirty. I'm gonna put some Gorilla Glue in there. No, seriously. Like I feel like it's like some gunk in there in a good, powerful
Nah,
way.
for real.
Like it got that
Ooh,
that goo
right.
to it.
What do we consider the South? Are we talking about like Houston? We talking about like
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The Carolinas.
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
All of that.
Mhm.
what about the Midwest? Like Chicago, Detroit.
Oh, aren't they a beautiful fusion?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I can't lie. Some of my favorites are from the Midwest right
Mhm.
now. I think they're like an Allen key. Like they really putting it together.
Oh, that's good.
They really putting
That's
it
good.
together.
Cool.
Soulful Poetry from Detroit, right?
Or like they're
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
knife, the
Soulful
knife that
one
got
of
many
them,
different
bro.
tools on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Army.
Mm. We did
That's
that.
an
I
interesting
think.
one. That's interesting.
What y'all think?
Interesting
if we
exercise.
if we categorize your region wrong or you got different opinions about it, I think you should let us know. Drop it
Yeah.
in the comments.
Yeah.
I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like the West Coast is more narrative based,
Mhm.
and like you could say we're more bar heavy even with the narrative. But the Midwest, I feel like they have a good fusion of that.
Mhm.
We talked about the different eras. We talked about the regions, but kind of going back to the era conversation. And I think it's interesting for us to talk about these poets that inspired us or laid the groundwork. But the reality is, I don't feel like we have a lot of access to those poets though today. I don't know what poetry elders look like right now for us.
Mm.
And my question to y'all, and I don't know if this is a hard question to answer, if depending on how long you've been around poetry, but do y'all think that there are poetry? Two questions. Do y'all think that there are modern day poetry elders? That's part one. Number two, are the poetry elders accessible?
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yes and yes. I think your elders is who you identify as your elders.
Mm-hmm.
Me not being like indigenous, I haven't been in this space as long as some of y'all really following poetry, but the poetry elders I view as my elders is Jive Poetic, Mahogany Brown, and they are very accessible. You know, I talk to them like they're not, and they'll be like, I'm right here. I'm actually talking to you right now. I just bought your book.
Yeah.
I am right here. You know, I'm thankful to be able to cultivate a relationship with them and continue to build that. Like, I don't think that they are not accessible. I think you got to find someone that you can have the conversation with, that you value as elder, and treat that with respect. If we aren't identifying or finding the elders, that's because we're not extolling them enough. We need to probably be paying more homage to the elders. And I think that what you're doing with the sanctuary is a big part of that, and I could really commend that, bro.
I appreciate that.
Where Trey G being at the cipher for the sanctuary, that was dope as hell.
Yeah,
seeing how open he was for all the questions that we had and all that. So I think the elders are coming back around, and also like I know I'm not. I know me and Ugbar are closer in age than I thought when I was 17 and shit. But when I was at Urban Word, he was a receptionist. I'm still in high school and shit. So like for him to have the school that he has now was the Ungrateful Black Artists Institute.
Yes.
Yeah. To have the school he has and like,
shout out Uber. Uber don't get the credit he deserves because Uber is contemporaries with people like Miles Carbons and them.
Yeah.
And he kept going.
Right. And kept going. And it's still here and it's still giving back to the people.
Right.
And he's very humble because, if I was him, I'd be like, let him remind everybody, I was with them.
Right.
I was slamming with, I probably beat them.
And the school just started.
People don't
imagine what it's like in 5
Uber.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are some of y'all poetry elders?
I will have to think about it. But to answer the question about accessibility, I think that they can be accessible. They're just not like openly out there. I think about the generation gap too. We connect via social media and all of these things, and the elders are sometimes right there. We just need to send them a text message or figure out a way to email them.
Right.
Yeah.
And we think about Trey G. Like Trey G is somebody who we reached out to.
Yeah.
We reached out to Carvins. Carvin, you're not. We're not trying to aid you, but we reached out and they were open arms about it.
Right.
So, yeah, I think we need to reach out.
Yeah.
I think if any elders are hearing this, if you don't know you're an elder, or if you questioning it, you might be an elder. But also know that there's poets right now that are looking for you. So if you could like come outside in a way or let people know you're accessible, the poets would love to be paired with you.
Wait, one more question along this line, and it's kind of responding to the both of you. The mentor-mentee relationship between poets, young poets and elders. Who bears the primary responsibility of building and maintaining that relationship? The poet / mentee that's seeking guidance, or the elder / poet that has the knowledge, that has the gems to pass down?
It's always the mentee.
Oh,
I don't know if I feel like
It's always the mentee. Closed mouths don't get fed. I don't know what you need until you tell me that you need something. A lot of times we think that someone's going to offer us something without ever asking, and that's really just not how the world works. We get in our own heads about asking for people, asking things of people. I'm guilty of it too. I don't like asking people for things. But when someone lets you know, hey, just hit me up, just let me know, then you got to make that call and just hit them up and just let them know. So it is on the mentee. The mentor don't need nothing from you.
I agree. Wise man once said that when a student is ready, the master will appear.
okay.
When the student's ready, the master
Said that Bruce Lee?
will appear.
We ain't hear from Kato.
I don't agree. But I love you both. I feel like initially it is the mentor's responsibility because I think they have to build that relationship and build that trust. A mentee might be coming in very nervous, very hesitant and stuff like that. Once that connection is built, then yes, it is the mentee's responsibility to maintain that because yes, you are trying to get poured into, but you have to make sure that your mentor can do that for you, you know?
I think I agree. I think I've gone back and forth on this. Let me just start by saying that. For the longest, I thought it was on the mentee. But it's like, you don't know what to ask. You don't know what you don't know. And you, as the mentor, you have all the knowledge. Like, here's an example. Let's say there was like an art, and the art was gathering rocks, okay? And let's say that there's an elder who is a master of gathering rocks. He didn't gather the rocks for 100 years. He knows how to gather rocks in his sleep. And then there's a kid who like, you know what? I think I can be good at gathering rocks. I don't know how to, I don't know where to start. The mentor knows everything about it. I think the mentor is the one who can go out of his way and even spot, oh, you got some skill set with you. You know, your hands are built in a way that, oh, you good at gathering rocks. Oh, you're pretty quick. Like, think about coaching. Like, coaches can see something in somebody before they can see it in themselves. You know why? Because they're a coach. Because they've done it before. They've played it and they've taught it. So I think you, as the person who has the knowledge, pour into the person. Right. Give back.
Yeah.
Don't wait for the question. Reach out.
Yeah.
Coaches are on sidelines with uniforms that say, I'm the coach. These are people walking around living their life, giving unsolicited advice. Sometimes we know what that's like. We've all given unsolicited advice and had to bear the burden of what that looks like. But I don't know what hurt that mentor has had from past mentees that makes him hesitant for getting involved with other people. He might be like, yo, I put myself out there with this young person before and I don't really want to do that. So if people come up to me, then that's when I'll give that back. I don't gatekeep, but I don't go out there just advertising.
I mean, I would add on and just say that, taking it back to what Heka said, when the student is ready, the master will appear. Like, I don't think, if you're a student, I don't necessarily think that we would be thinking about ego, and this advice is unsolicited if we're open to learning. But yeah, I think it's a push and pull, and I would say that the mentor should take time to observe and gather some data. And I also don't think it hurts for the mentee to say, hey, I think that you can help me with this.
Yeah.
So it's just on both.
Not saying that I'm switching, but it is on the elders to preserve the recipes and pass it to the young. And there's also I think we all heard it saying Kofa, right? It's a Ghanaian symbol from that Ninka tribe. It's like a bird running forward, like looking back with an egg in his mouth, and it's translated to go back and get it. Go back, get the knowledge, give it back to the children.
As you're moving forward.
Yes.
Spoke about it.
All right, here's a question. If you could have any writing mentor dead only, who would it be? And the second part would be alive.
Oh, dead and
it could be any kind of writer, a rapper, activist, poet.
Dead, Martin Luther King.
That's a good one.
I'll go Malcolm.
Oh, I'm going Alice Walker.
Oh, Brittany's a big fan of Alice Walker. She got her book.
Yeah. She's alive still.
Yeah, no, yeah. When he said dead and alive, I was like, dang, I gotta think of someone dead too.
Yeah. This tough. I want to go to Toni Morrison, but I'm fascinated with Octavia Butler. I'm gonna say Butler. I feel like she could teach me some things. Take me out the physical and show me the different realms.
Come on.
I'm going Ali.
Ooh.
I like the way he thought. And I know he was a poet. He wasn't like a professional poet, but like he was a poet.
He laid the foundation for hip hop too.
Exactly.
Braggadocio.
All right. Alive.
Nas.
No, I think I'm dead.
That was quick for you.
Big Queens.
My dad is Maya Angelou.
Come on. Ava DuVernay.
Hard to not say Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
My
bad.
Wait, for those of you who gave an answer, what's your why for Nas?
I'm joking with you.
I think he has an ill superpower as far as imagery goes.
And what's your why for Ava?
She's created masterpieces on film, and poetry has lived in different realms. Even though she might not consider herself a poet, she's brought it to media.
What's your why for Ava? No, I'm sorry, for
Maya?
Alice.
Oh, both of them. Both women, they want us to stand in our own and not be apologetic about that.
Yeah.
Alice told me to be an outcast, and I will.
Yeah.
I surely will.
Jay-Z got an incredible gift of making his own vulnerability sound so cool. Not a lot of people could do that.
That's right.
I did it yesterday. I'm joking on you. I'm not hating on you. I'm hating on Jay-Z. I guess.
All the time,
Just a little.
For my alive, I'm gonna go Mark Lamont Hill, and I like his ability to talk about like intellectual issues in a way that's can be received by anybody.
He does break it down.
Shout out to Mark Lamont Hill. You know he was my teacher, right?
What?
Word?
Wow.
Yeah, professor at Temple University.
That's actually
It makes
very
sense
fire.
now.
Yeah, I was
It
a,
makes
a student in his class.
That's
Wow. What course?
fire.
I actually took a course on hip hop, Jay-Z and Nas.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
fire
Why we never
curriculum.
talked about this?
I know.
I don't know. I don't talk about these things, man. I don't know. I lived a long
Try to
life.
be mysterious.
Gotta ask you more questions.
I mean, last thing I would like to say is just that I think we're so wrapped up in individualism and moving as individual entities as poets that we are not standing on business in the way that the people in the past did it. And I'm not telling us to replicate the past, but I wonder what it would be like. Like if I think about the mainstream poets right now who have influence, I see them as individuals, not necessarily as people moving movements behind them. So I'm not gonna name names, but I mean, you think about the biggest poets that are in your life and consider if they have movement behind them that is forwarding the culture and or our advancement as people of color. That's my question.
I think
Don't look at me like that.
I might be being corny, but us, you know, we're a collective. We're a collective with voices that speak on these issues. You know, Imani's a whole lawyer. You know what I'm
A
saying?
lawyer.
He's a whole lawyer. And so we all have we have voices. We're doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think there's ever been an intersection for poetry and justice and all this stuff on the podcast. So word.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a quote that was said to me while I was at the hip hop education conference. Every accusation is a confession. And I'm gonna point that right to you, Brittany.
Ooh.
I think you are the answer to your own question.
Ooh.
You want this reflection of you in other people, but it's you. It's the work you're actively doing with this residency at Creative Soul House. I think I just always want to give you your flowers because you are doing so much of the work. And I think that's the frustration of like, you know, feeling alone in that work sometimes and like, why aren't more people doing the work? But that's your road, that's your task, and that's your goal. And you will mobilize the people to do that when you get that team in order as you continue to build that out. But thinking someone else is going to do the job that you want done, that ain't never going to happen.
Right.
You're right.
But
I love you though,
Nothing to
sis.
say. I don't got nothing to say.
All right, y'all. Fire episode. We unfortunately have come to the end of another episode of the Poetry as Usual podcast. Any shout outs and or announcements y'all want to bring up?
I have an announcement. Creative Soul House is starting a slam team. And,
Yes.
we had one qualifier earlier. We have one more qualifier. So if you're interested in being on the slam team, wanting to compete, July 31st. No, August 28th is the slam qualifier. You should come out, and then we're gonna have our grand slam in September. So pull up. Lastly, we having a party. Just a straight party. A party to have fun. When's the last time you've been to a party? Like,
A little
I don't
minute.
know.
Just
But
last
come to
week.
that part. Dang, you don't count. On August 29th, we're having something called the Renaissance Party. It's gonna be fun. It's a day party. Pull up, wear your cutest fit, and we're gonna
When is it again? Can
throw
you,
things in a circle.
when is it one more time?
It is on August 29th at the Legacy Club.
Shout out to all the dope poets of the night for this past year. Shout out to Dope Poet of the Year, Leilani.
Yeah.
We starting again. We're going to do a whole nother year. And, you know, if you won before, you might could win again. I don't know. It's up to the crowd.
It is up to the crowd. Westchester, I'm August 14th. It's a Go to Apple Slam. Yes. Prizes for all three places. And the first two rounds is no trauma. So we trying to get that to start. You know, we trying to change the narrative.
The Renaissance.
Trauma only wins.
What time?
It'll start at 6:30. Open doors.
How do people sign up?
On the platform thing. Look at my page.
The form of her page.
The page is called Points of Impact _
Fire.
Okay.
Yeah, I know by the time this airs, most of these shows will already be gone, but I already got some shows lined up. I'll be in Atlanta this Wednesday for Passport Poetry. Shout out to Passport Poetry. This Saturday I'll be featuring at Poetry Me Please. And Sunday is the 1 year anniversary of An Evening with Storytellers. So please pop out. Yeah, I don't know. It's more shows, but you know, stay booked and stay busy.
Facts.
Mhm.
I guess I'm gonna shout out an organization called Bronx Unite. They booked Brittany, myself, and Marcus Stokes for an event in the Bronx. It was an event honoring hip hop,
Nice.
and it really was honoring all elements. So they had graffiti there, they had breakdancing, and they had us there for poetry.
That's fine.
And I had I had to check myself for a moment because like I found myself being the bougie poet that it was outside event, and when I got there, I was immediately like, okay, sometimes it's kind of hard to do poetry outside. You know, there's a lot of things going on. I found myself being a bit critical of the space, but then after the event started and after everything went through, everything was fine. Like I felt guilty for that feeling, and more so was like, no, this is actually where poetry needs to be held. Like mad people that were there first time watching poetry for the first time or hearing poetry for the first time. And for the intro to be Marcus Stokes and Brittany Barker and myself, it's like they're getting a nice treat.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So like I walked away thinking like, look at me being bougie. Like this is actually mad impactful and mad important. So Bronx Unite, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Please invite us out whenever you can and continue doing the great work in the Bronx. All right, with that being said, we have come to the end of another episode of the Poetry as Usual podcast. Y'all, as we always say, stay dope.